So it looks like after all of these years, the coin from Blood of the Dead has been solved as to what it actually is, and it's very cool. Along with this being solved, we also now have answers to 3 other questionable Easter eggs that we thought were just cut and leftover assets that maybe they didn't have time to finish or get to. We've had advanced coders in the community looking into these Easter eggs like this coin, and they said there is absolutely no coding around it that shows that it's any kind of interactable Easter egg. These suspicious items that I'm going to show you made us think that they were something interactable because they only show up if you're playing the normal mode that allows you to do the main Easter egg and side Easter eggs. If you load into custom mutations or casual mode, these items are not there to be viewed. But what we have recently figured out is that these are not cut Easter eggs. They are 100% intended to be in the map because of the kind of Easter egg that they are. There are 3 classifications of Easter egg, and the most popular one is the interactable Easter egg. These are where you do the main quest or the main Easter egg or side Easter eggs. It's stuff you interact with or activate and you get some kind of reaction or reward. Then there's the type that are called out-of-map Easter eggs, things in-game related directly to outside real-world people, places, and things. This classification of Easter eggs was told directly to me from one of the highest guys at Treyarch, and there are a bazillion examples of out-of-map Easter eggs. Then finally, there are the narrative Easter eggs, and these are there to help us fill in the storyline details. Normally, we think of these as being ciphers and radios or any kind of audio that we hear in game. And for Black Ops 4, they've added some items to these narrative Easter eggs called narrative models, and that's what this video is about. I'll show you guys 4 of these narrative model Easter eggs that we thought were maybe cut interactable Easter eggs. These, however, are not cut. They are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and it's up to us to do the rest. Let's start with this huge mural on 9 that only shows up if you're in the mode where you can do the main Easter egg. And a massive shout out to Jack47. He is the one that has figured out what exactly these Easter eggs are. In the code, there's a chunk of script that identifies these narrative models as NARMOD, NARMOD. This line of coding checks to see if the main Easter egg is enabled. If it isn't, then it says to hide the models. So for some reason, Treyarch wants to hide these specific narrative models if the main Easter egg is not active. In this portion of the code, it does not tell you what are narrative models and what are not, so we're left a little bit clueless. But Jack went in and figured out how to find them. He created this script right here, and what it does is it makes those narrative models flash on and off rapidly, so he can just walk around and identify which ones they are. Here's an example of his script running. This is a cipher. It's flashing on and off. Obviously, that's a narrative Easter egg. It's not going to be anything interactable. We understand that. And right here, this is his footage. He's got the script running, and this mural is flashing on and off, identifying it as a narrative model. And this is not an interactable Easter egg. This is not something that is cut or forgotten about. It's some kind of storyline narrative that they want us to figure out. And for some reason, they find it important enough to leave it out of the game unless you are able to do the main Easter egg. In this video, I'm not going to do any kind of a breakdown and try to theorize what this mural and some of the other narrative model Easter eggs are that I'm going to show you, but I am going to do a full breakdown on the coin. I'm pretty sure I know what the coin is and what they intended with it, and I'm going to show you guys all of that later on in the video. But first, let me show you guys 2 other narrative models that flash when he runs this script. We, again, thought they were interactable, but they're not. They're just there to tell a story. I had just made a video about this, wondering like, what is this? And shout out to Smug. He's the one that pointed it out. This blueprint on Voyage of Despair does not show up if you don't have the main Easter egg enabled. We were like, oh, it must be some kind of cut interactable Easter egg where maybe we would get a pack-a-punched Zweihanda. And shout out to Jack, he looked into it and he was able to identify that, yeah, this is one of those narrative Easter eggs. He uses 2 methods to identify them. He goes into the files to see if he can see what the name of the item is, and a lot of the times it's encrypted and you can't read it, but this one he was able to read. If he can't read it, then he has to go in-game with that script that I showed you where it makes all those items flash on and off. But this one was readable, and this one's called ZM Zod Notes NEE Blueprint Scarlet. That translates to ZM, which is zombies. Zod means zombies on disk, meaning meaning whatever came shipped with the game and was not DLC. Then you have notes NEE, and the NEE is narrative Easter egg, and then calling it a blueprint, obviously, and it's related to Scarlet. So the developers themselves are calling these Easter eggs. I'm not trying to sit here and overuse that word and exploit it. It's literally what the developers are calling these. All this blueprint relates to is the storyline detail for Scarlet. She's an inventor. She invented the ballistic shield, and she's obviously also invented the Zweihanda. So this is 100% solved. There's no interactable Easter egg here. It's just storyline. It talks about Scarlet and her being an inventor, so case closed. I would almost think that her wiki needs to be updated to show this weapon. It says she is a highly competent inventor creating various devices to aid her in her quest, such as the ballistic shield, among others. Now let's head over to Blood of the Dead, and one of the most mysterious items. We've been wondering, what the heck is this? We really thought this was some kind of cut interactable Easter egg. This is a bone crafted into a shiv with Sal de Luca's prisoner number on it, 386A. This bone shiv is not in the map if you don't have the main Easter egg enabled. And this footage here is from Jack47. He's got that script running where the narrative Easter egg models are flashing on and off, and the bone shiv is one of them. Unlike the blueprint Easter egg model that I just showed you, we are unable to read the file name of this bone shiv. It's just an encrypted mashup of letters and numbers. We have no idea what it says. All we know is it is a narrative Easter egg only seen if the main Easter egg is enabled. So what's the story with this bone shiv? Is there more to it than it just being related to Sal de Luca? It's up to us to look at the clues in game and the storyline to come up with what does this bone shiv mean. I have yet to theorize on this bone shiv. I've been spending all of my time working on the coin. This is the final thing I'll be covering in this video, and as you might have guessed, this is a narrative Easter egg model. This is Jack47's footage here. He's got that script running that shows the narrative models turning on and off. And yes, the coin is in that category. So this coin only shows up when the main Easter egg quest is enabled. So what is so important about this coin and the story it's telling, and how does it relate to the main Easter egg? After much research, I'm going to show you guys what exactly this coin is representing and the story it's telling. Originally, when we thought this was an interactable Easter egg, we guessed that maybe it was some kind of a wolf helmet, because you do see a male figure's profile with a wolf skin headdress. Black Ops 3 had a lot of helmets that help protect you against enemy attacks, and even Revelations had a wolf helmet, so we thought maybe this is what this is. And after talking to some of the advanced coders, they looked all into this. They said, nope, this is nothing. There is no coding, no scripting, no triggers. You can't activate anything around this coin. It's nothing. It's probably cut. We've been sitting for years doing nothing because we thought it was a cut Easter egg, because they were cutting a lot of other stuff, like the Chaos storyline, factions, Newton's cookbook, and all the secret rooms on all the maps. But nope, this coin is alive and well, doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing, and it's our job to figure out what their intentions were with this coin, try to understand the story around it with the clues we've been given. There's a lot of Easter eggs that seem pretty vague in zombies, and that's intentional. That's the way Jason Blundell likes to do his Easter eggs. He likes to give us minimal clues, and then he wants us to theorize and fill in the connective tissue that makes it all make sense. I want you guys to listen to a short interview that he did with Rad Austin and the Zombros. This is a huge insight to how a lot of these Easter eggs work.
When he loves teasing us.
Oh man. But here's the thing, it's fascinating to me. I enjoy it. I enjoy it so much watching you guys talk about it, think about it. The incremental increase, because we don't actually send anything out that's usually overtly deliberate to kind of step you along. We'll put the pieces, but we rarely put the connective tissue in. And if you look at the kind of history of zombies and the community's kind of growth and knowledge, they have been putting that tissue together. They talk about the definition of genius being able to get from A to C without traveling through B. That's what the community has done. It's able to kind of move through these sequences without us actually giving you the middle bits. And so that's why it's fascinating, because it's this kind of group genius mentality, if you will. And that's what makes me very inspired and makes me love the zombie community.
So they don't like to put Easter eggs in that are too deliberate. They like to be a bit vague. They'll put in the A and the C, and we have to figure out the B, the connective parts of it. So now that we know that this coin is a storyline Easter egg, nothing more, it was time to dive in and see what all I could find. When first looking at it, I thought maybe this is Native American, because we do have some of that influence on the island and in the game. I was looking for everything related to Native American and coins and wolf headdresses. Native Americans are definitely associated with wearing different types of animal skin headdresses. Different tribes wore different types of headdresses, and the Plains Indian tribes were the ones that mostly wore the wolf headdresses. Well, they're located in the central part of North America and not anywhere near Alcatraz Island, so that was kind of a dead end. Plus, when Native Americans are represented wearing these types of headdresses, they're called war bonnets, and they typically have face paint on that is called war paint. This is definitely not something represented on the coin, so I wasn't making any connections there. I looked through some of the more popular Native American coins that have been in circulation, and typically they're just wearing feathers and different kinds of war bonnets, but nothing with a wolf skin headdress. I researched everything I could and could not make any kind of Native American connection to this coin. We do have a Native American item on Blood of the Dead, which originally existed on Mob of the Dead, and that's the tomahawk. I have the backstory to how the tomahawk got implemented into Mob of the Dead, and it's definitely a story most people do not know. The developers originally wanted some kind of boomerang weapon, and they looked at the history of the island, and the real history is that the local Native Americans felt like Alcatraz Island was cursed, and they called it the Evil Island. It says, long before Alcatraz became home to some of the most notorious outlaws in the country, it was known as a place to be avoided by Native Americans who believed it contained evil spirits. This was before the 1800s and before the events of Mob of the Dead. The Ohlone Native American tribe were the first ones that inhabited the island. They never lived there because, again, they thought it was cursed, and they would only go there to gather eggs and fish. And Treyarch's explanation as to why there's a tomahawk in Mob of the Dead is that the local Native American tribe had a shaman, and that shaman put the tomahawk on the island to help ward off the evil spirits. And that's pretty much all I could find in regards to Native American history and what related to Mob of the Dead and also Blood of the Dead. There was a pretty big Native American event that happened on Alcatraz Island in 1969, but that was way after the events of when Mob of the Dead was supposed to occur. I just wanted to show you guys all of what I've researched and what I don't think it is. Now I'll show you guys what I think it is. I went back to the basics of, okay, you've got a coin, it's representing a figure, like what kinds of figures were typically represented? And the answer, going back, way back, is that kings, queens, rulers, people of significant political standing were typically put on coins. The tradition of depicting rulers on coins began way back in ancient Greece, where leaders used their images to assert authority and spread their influence throughout their realm. Julius Caesar was responsible for popularizing this practice, which became a standard for emperors. This practice carried on through the medieval period and into modern times like we see today. I noticed that the coin in Blood of the Dead had some similarities to some very ancient coins. So I was thinking, this is probably a king that is being represented on this coin. I looked to see if there were any coins throughout history that depicted kings or rulers wearing animal headdresses. One that came up was Alexander the Great. He wears a lion headdress on his coins. The history there is that he associated himself with Hercules, which was also associated with lions. So that's why he put a lion on his head, just to show that association. There are also some other similarities between the Blood of the Dead coin and these ancient coins, like the one with Alexander the Great. There's this beaded decorative trim around the outside, and you do see that on the Blood of the Dead coin, but I think you're going to find that on a lot of coins. But if you look at the Blood of the Dead coin and you think, okay, history says that they put kings and rulers on coins, what kind of king or ruler do we have in this storyline? And what kind of king or ruler is associated with wolves? And that's when you have the Wolf King from Horizon. And why would a Wolf King coin be on Blood of the Dead only when the main Easter egg is enabled? What could be associated with the Wolf King on Blood of the Dead? Well, that's the Crusader Templar Richtofen that shows up at the end of the Easter egg. That was one of the coolest ending Easter egg scenes, minus Richtofen getting killed, but to see Richtofen in his Templar Crusader outfit was awesome. Knights Templar Crusader Richtofen was heavily associated with the Wolf King. He fought alongside with him, and there is a ton of information backing all of that story. During the medieval era of the 1200s, when the Wolf King ruled, this is the kind of coinage that you would have probably seen. This is the kind of coins that the Knights Templar Crusader Primus would be carrying around if you were thinking like real world. Also, and I don't know if it matters, but this is a silver coin, which makes sense given its probably monetary value that you would be using it on this kind of machine. Back then they did have gold coins, which were much higher value, and you would not be putting that in this machine. Also, let's take note that the coin is in the coin return, meaning it went through the machine and was rejected, probably because it's an ancient coin and not recognized. Let's have a closer look at this coin and the king on one of the posters from Horizon. If you look closely at the coin, you can see that a lot of the hair that you're noticing that's kind of curly is coming off of the dire wolf. Like, that's part of the headdress. Then the individual being represented has short hair that seems to be straight. I've done a color overlay on the coin so we can kind of see what is what. On the coin, it looks like he has bangs, and in the painting, he does have bangs as well. I can't really tell where the part is. There's some shadowing, but it looks pretty similar. Here's the painting where he's dead, and we get a little bit more of a profile, and you can see the structure of his nose could pretty much match the one that's on the coin. The wolf symbol is his thing. It's on his shield. He's got wolves around him all the time. They go into battle with him. Obviously, the wolf bow is nothing but wolves. It's not far-fetched to say that if he were on a coin, he would have a wolf headdress. So those were the most connected ideas that I could find to this coin, and I don't think it's far-fetched to say that this is the Wolf King's coin. We'll never know if Knights Templar Richtofen is the one that brought this over, and we'll never know if he went and used the machine or tried to. Let me know what you guys think about this theory. Let me know if you have some other theories or other ideas of what this could be. Definitely comment down below, and we'll see you guys next video.